All right, cool. Is that too loud or good?
No, that's good. Yep.
All right, cool. Want to give me a good clap?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Appreciate it.
I am Lou Renova. I own and operate a company, 405 Photo, and I also work for a couple guys on Discovery Channel, Farm Truck and Asian, as their... I do more than just content, but we'll just start with content creator. But yeah, that's pretty much the short version.
If you don't know who he is, you're doing something wrong. He's pretty big here in OKC. He will never admit it. He's very humble, but if you do media, you know who this guy is.
In a world filled with billions of people, there are countless untold stories waiting to be discovered. These untold stories hold the power to inspire, educate, and connect us. Whether you're interested in media, automotive, or just here for a good story, welcome to the Underline podcast.
So, everybody kind of knows I've watched a few podcasts that you've actually already been on.
Okay.
Because I don't want to, hit the same topics and beat a dead horse.
Right,
everybody
right.
kind of knows how you got your start in the media industry.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to touch on that briefly, because I can't assume everybody else has watched the same podcast.
For sure.
Yeah. How like Cliff Notes, how did you pick up a camera and get into it?
Well, it was maybe like divine intervention or something. It was nothing I really ever meant to do. But it was one of my best friends, Asian, Jeff from Street Outlaws, got on a show. I helped them sell T-shirts and stuff in the beginning of their when they would do events and stuff like that. And then around 2016, we had an event down in Texas, and he said, "Hey, before you drive down here, go to my house and grab my camera bag." And it was just this green camera bag with the Canon, I think like a 70D or something in it.
Okay.
And a kit lens. And I grabbed it, took it down there. I was ready to sell shirts. And he's like, "You're not selling shirts today. You're going to take photos." And I'm like, I don't know what to do with this
Right.
thing, right? So then that was kind of the beginning. I shot that event. I had literally no idea what I was doing. I was using like live mode, and seriously, it was alien tech.
Right, yeah.
And I took like, I don't know, almost 2,000 shots, but I think I only came out with like maybe under 500 that were even properly exposed, And
DSLRs are hard because, it's not like mirrorless where you just have that accurate preview.
No.
You have to watch the meter, and the meter may not even be reading right.
Right. Well, that's why I somehow fumbled into the live mode,
which is helpful, but then you compromise focus doing that.
Yes. Yeah. So I at least could see that it was going to be exposed correctly, right?
Right.
And so, and then ever since then, man, it just, I followed, for some reason, I just got obsessed with it. And he let me keep that borrow that camera. And then I just started researching, and I was like, well, I'm immediately going to manual mode. I'm immediately making it really hard for myself. And I got completely consumed by it, consuming all forms of media that I could, and just kind of self-taught. And,
it's addicting when you get that properly composed shot with good exposure, maybe a little bit of cinematic lighting in there, whether it's the time of day or what, when you get that and you can say, I can made that.
Yeah.
I made that. Chasing that next one is when you hit export on that and you get to share that and you get that feedback, you're always chasing that high in the media industry.
Yeah. And it's fun to get it again.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, with the precursor to that now, in hindsight, I was, without knowing, maybe Asian, that's why he told me to pick this camera up. He had the forethought of it. I was always the guy that would take photos when my friends were hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
I was always the guy, because we used to mess around with cars back in the day. I was the one with the disposable camera, taking pictures of my friends' cars when we'd go mess around,
That's awesome.
In our cars, out of high school and stuff. I would be borrowing my parents' film, not film camera, but their video camera, their
camcorder.
Yeah, their mini disc, DVD, whatever thing.
Right.
And I would record us making hits and passes and just fucking around, you know. And I was always that. Whenever I was in a band, I was the one taking cool shots of the band for promo, or setting up a camera so we would have like a video to put on YouTube, right? Like,
So you've had like this kind of passive, subconscious passion for
Yeah.
media. You just didn't have the tools to execute it effectively.
yeah, and then someone to show me the way.
Right.
Right, which is I credit Asian for a lot of that, was saying, hey, you can do this, and look what you've. He didn't tell me right away, but over time he's like, look what you've already been doing, and now you can focus it. Yeah.
That's so cool, man. I love stories of people just being thrown into a situation and thriving, and I think you're more or less the epitome of that.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, definitely.
Yeah.
Just thrown into the fire, and then not just that, but like immediately, like my work is like seen by millions of people.
Well, it helps that you're attached to that brand, so everything that you create has now pushed through that brand and just absolutely projected super far.
Yeah, and which is terrifying when you're new. You know what I mean?
Right,
you're like, wait, I don't want to let people know I took that shot. And now, like, 3 million people on Facebook are going to look at it.
Yeah. I could not imagine like approaching an event knowing that it's going to be presented by that big name, knowing that my work is going to be like, oh God, do you ever get anxious when you like go to a race and you're like, all right, I can't fuck up because they're going to post this?
No. I'm really confident in my skills nowadays.
Okay, good.
Yeah. And back in the day, I was maybe too naive to even think about that.
Man, I don't know if it's like imposter syndrome or what, but I still like when I get booked to do something, I'm like, okay, I cannot fuck this up because I'm going to look stupid if I do. Like, I know it's very rare that I don't come through for a client, but I still have that like initial anxiety.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I can relate to a little bit. Yeah, but you just got to, just like you just step up and do it though, right?
Yeah. You have to try. Failure is when you stop trying. It's not when you don't achieve it the first time. It's just when you give up.
Yeah. The small failures are part of the whole process.
That's how you learn. Yeah. I mean, I tell people like you'll never figure out how to take a proper photo. Like there's no formula for it. You have to learn how to take a bad photo and then just not do that.
Yeah.
Like every time you take something, you're like, oh, I fucked that up. But just don't do that again. Do something
and then
different.
listen to your peers that are like, hey, maybe try this. And, just never stop learning from others as well.
Right. 100%.
Yeah.
So in your early years, did you grow up here in Oklahoma? Like, is this home to you or did you move here from somewhere else?
Oh, my family moved here from El Paso, Texas in 1999.
Okay.
So it was like right at the end of 8th grade, right before 9th grade. So I started high school here.
Okay.
And then I've been here in OKC. I've moved back to Texas here and there, but ultimately I pretty much lived here since I was 14.
Okay. What was one of your first jobs, like your entry into the workforce?
Oh, I graduated high school on a Friday, and on that same Monday, I started working at a construction job with my dad for the summer. Yeah, I did that. That was my first job.
Okay.
I was helping lay asphalt.
That's awesome.
With this company down in Moore, Silver Star Construction. I didn't know how to do shit. They were like, "Hey, kid, go clean the truck." Okay.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, but that was my first ever job. Besides like little things I did for money, as a kid and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's cool. How long were you there for?
Well, I just did that for summers. So like when I was so I was kind of a fuck up in high school. Like I kind of stopped trying around junior and senior year, and I like missed a lot of school. And I didn't have any plans for college.
I had to write a letter to the school board to petition for my credits because of how many absences I had.
Really?
So that resonates with me.
Yeah,
like
man.
that hits home.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, dude. And the only thing, so finally like senior year, I'm like seeing all my peers. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And I'm like, damn, I'm not doing anything. Like the only thing I was doing was I was going to Metro Tech for graphic design. Okay. But same mentality. I was there to it was fun to get out, go eat Domino's pizza, and then show up whenever and blah, blah, blah. But towards the end of senior year, I'm like, man, I need to maybe apply myself at something. Yeah. And it was that. That was the schooling that I had. So that was the deal with my parents. It's like, if you keep going to school, We'll help you pay some bills because I had a car and insurance and stuff. And then and they're like, but just go back to school over the summer, save your money, go back to school. And I did that for 2 summers.
Okay.
Right after high school, while going to Metro Tech for graphic design.
Okay.
Yeah. So I did that for like a year and a half after high school.
Okay. Did you end up getting your degree, like getting an associate's or bachelor's?
No degree. Metro Tech just kind of, back in the day, I don't know how they do it now, they certify you in programs.
Oh, okay.
And then that's how they pitch you to companies.
Gotcha.
With the referral, with the networking that you built through the school.
Okay. So it's like the equivalent of saying, I'm ASE certified, so I can go work in the shop.
Yeah. So it's like, back then it was like, you're freehand certified, Photoshop, all these design softwares.
Right.
And then you could pick if you wanted to do digital or print design and stuff like that. And that's actually where I met Asian. Was in that class. Was
at the school, like he was doing the same thing?
Yeah, he's a few years older than me. He had to come back as an adult to take graphic design. And I think I was like a junior, like going into senior when I met him, and he was doing the same thing.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So, because after that, so I'm like a dad of an 18-year-old and a 16-year-old, Nadia and Violet, right? So Nadia was born when I was 20. But when I found out that she was going to be a thing in my life, like I was working that second summer, we were doing construction. So I went back to graphic design class, and then I told them, I'm like, hey, I'm gonna be a dad, so I need like some help, and then they were like, oh, well, Jeff needs help at a sign shop.
Okay.
And I'm like, that's cool. So
that's kind of where he started at?
Yeah. So he left graphic design class and started a little sign shop.
Okay.
And that's how we started working together, was doing stickers and signs for businesses and stuff. Yeah.
So at that time, was he in business with Farm Truck? Did they have the sign shop together, or was this before?
No, it was him. And then through that is how I met Sean, through how I met Farm Truck.
Okay.
He would help us with jobs that were a little too big for us.
Okay.
We would we did like the 500 North Walker letters by that clock tower that's kind of downtown. And those are still up. This was like over 20 years ago.
That's so cool.
But Farm Truck came over in his van and put his freaking 40-foot ladder up, and Fearless just climbing this thing with letters hanging off his shoulder, and Asia and I are taking the long way because we're a bunch of pussies with the heights. So
the way you've talked about him, he seems to kind of have the persona of like, he doesn't think twice, he just kind of makes stuff happen. He just kind of does it.
I think he thinks once.
Yeah.
No. Actually, he thinks about stuff quite a bit.
Really?
But he's just Farm Truck's just one of the most fearless people that I know.
I didn't mean that in the sense of like lack of planning or irresponsible. But
no, I didn't take it like that.
He's not gonna doubt himself. He just goes and gets it done.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, but that's how I met Sean and how I got started working with Asian. And,
okay.
Him and I just hung out a lot during those years, working, making signs, cruising together, just stuff like that. And we meet Sean and the rest of the 405 guys through that every once in a while.
Okay.
Yeah, and then it just all kind of came full circle again when the show started.
So obviously you have where you started helping Jeff with the sign shop, and then Sean would come in to assist. How did racing develop out of all of this? It seems like very left field,
Well, I grew up when I moved here, I had a couple of friends that were into cars, right? And Oklahoma's just been a car town for a long time.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? So we would go and we'd cruise 39th. We'd cruise more 12th Street and shit, right? We'd do all that. Friday, Saturday we would just get in our cars and go do shit, right? And at the same time that was happening, Asian and Farm Truck and all the other guys were doing the same thing at a much higher level, right? But still kind of doing the same thing. And just because we were all into cars back then, it all somehow came together that car guys meet other car guys.
Okay.
Right? Even though I don't think I'm a car guy, but I was definitely in my own little scene
Yeah.
back then.
I get that.
So that's how that all kind of came together. We'd all meet up and, cruise 39th, on Saturdays.
Okay. So did Sean have the farm truck and then he participated in things and that's kind of how it all evolved, or
as far as like just like
the
Sean's
show and
story?
everything? Yeah.
Oh, it's not really my story. But how I understand it, Farm got his start doing YouTube, right? Like at least when he got known to people, without him knowing what YouTube or the internet was. The farm truck was just a
so he's had that thing forever.
Yeah, like I remember the first time I saw the truck. Jeff was like, "Hey, we're gonna go hang out with my buddy Sean for some reason at his house. I don't even remember why, but it was in Bethany. I go over there, I walk in. He's sitting in this chair, the TV going. He's got like a bunch of collectibles, like all over this wall on one side. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. We're just hanging out, making jokes. And he was like, hey, you want to see my truck? And I'm like, okay, so I like walk in this garage and I'm like, yeah, it's the old C10. My grandpa had one of these, and then he like pops the hood and it's just this immaculate diamond,
this polished, beautiful.
Yeah. And that was the first time I saw the truck, but he was already clearly doing all the street racing stuff.
Okay.
But I wasn't really part of their scene when that was happening. I kind of we crossed paths sometimes, but I had my own scene with my friends. Because they were more north side and we were more south side.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious because you started selling, you helped Jeff sell shirts. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming that wasn't tied to the sign shop per se, but more or less Sean's brand?
No, that was after. So the order of it kind of, for me, from my perspective, goes like, I'm helping Asian I'm working with Asian doing the signs. He moves to Cali and then I start working somewhere else.
Oh.
And when I think he lives in Cali for like 4 years or something like that. Okay. And when he moves back, the show shortly after that got its season 1.
Okay.
Right. And I stayed away from that for like the first 3 or 4 seasons, just because family man, I got a job that I'm excelling in now. I'm like working my way up to be lead graphic designer at this bigger sign shop. Mm-hmm. Having kids and like just doing the family
your career thing. You can't go out at 2 a.m. for streetcar shenanigans.
Yeah. So the filming and all that stuff was happening, and I remember Jeff would come by, and every once in a while he'd just tell me stories, of like what they were up to and stuff, just because he knew I was not there mentally to be able to really go do anything with them. And It wasn't until maybe like in 2015 or so. So the show's already been going on for 2 or 3 years at this point, that they're like, hey, we're doing this little event in front of this insurance shop in a shopping center. We'll pay you, it's $100 or something if you come help sell some T-shirts for the day and, travel with, it's like 3 hours away. And I'm like, cool. And so they taught me how they do it, how to set up their booth and how to sell the shirts and blah, blah, blah. And that was my first one. And then the following day we did, I'm going to fuck up the name, Bikes, Blues and Barbecue or whatever, that big motorcycle event thing that's up in Arkansas, I think. Okay. And that was my second show that I did with them. So that was finally getting the whole, like, we're loading the farm truck up. The show's already going, probably starting to get to its peak, right? It's like season 3. Like these guys are now well known in the industry at this time. And so we're doing these events. And then I just started selling T-shirts with them until that summer in 2016 that he told me to bring that camera.
That fateful day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since that's happened and you're established with them now, what would you say your role is with that brand, with the farm truck and Asian brand? Like what all is your scope of work for what you do for them?
Well, it's always changing and it's always evolving. Like when we're home and not traveling, it is really kind of boring work. It's just like data entry on the website. It's researching and developing new products that we could put on our website. This goes anywhere from hats to T-shirts to stickers to designs to whatever. Just
getting fresh merch flowing.
Yeah, you have to have fresh merch all the time.
Yep,
that's one thing we've learned. So it's that, and then it's managing all our social medias, like all of theirs, including mine. And then it's doing some sales. Like I help them with sales. Like, some people don't know that a lot of the Street Outlaws have die-cast cars. And I do the design for the packaging, and Farm Truck and Asian do the producing of it. Right? They work with Greenlight. They work with Johnny Lightning to produce these cars, and I help them design them.
That's really cool.
So it's stuff like that, right? And then I help sell the cars to the Outlaws or whoever wants stuff or whatever. And then there's like the media part of it, where we're filming YouTube now. So I taught myself how to edit, how to film, how to do video. Never done that before, like at that level. So it's doing that, and then it's the whole, like, when we're at an event side. Well, then it turns into we're traveling, we're driving, we're unloading the trailer, we're setting up our booth. When we're there, like, right now we're traveling all over the country for No Prep Kings. The guys are filming this show called Locals Only. And in that realm, while we're there, capturing stills, filming for our YouTube channel, like behind the scenes type stuff. And then anything that happens like on the road, like between stops or whatever. And then I'm also there to sell t-shirts. Right. So I'm like, I help managing the line.
So your main point is media, but you do a ton of back end work to help support them.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Yeah. It's, that's what I said earlier. Like, it's, the short version's content, because that's what people go, oh yeah, okay. But there's, it takes 20 minutes to explain what I actually do.
I get that. I mean, running my own brand, it's a lot of the same, less merch, obviously, but there's still the back end stuff for the website, doing my own, ads and, analytics, things like that. Yeah. I do photo and video, but there's so much to get that out there and make that happen.
Like, it ends up being like 20% of what you do,
Yeah, just about.
When you actually
I'd say for me, because it's like my main business, I'd say it's probably half. Like, this is probably half of what I do. So, with you doing photo and video, you shoot Canon.
Yeah.
Why Canon?
It's all I've ever known.
Yeah, that's what you started with, and you're like, Canon works, so I'm not gonna try and fuck with anything else because I know it works.
Yeah, I mean, I mess with some Sonys and stuff, and I like the simplicity of getting stuff done, like efficiency, and I feel like Canon's menus are super easy. They get, I love the colors I get. I like the warmth that Canon gives you in colors, and I also like staying in the same ecosystem.
Yes.
So that's super important to me when I build a kit out. When I built my kit out, because man, I'd rather have the same batteries, the same chargers that I can switch. Because I've had Sonys and Canons, and I'm like, what am I doing carrying double the shit?
I could not even imagine having like a multi-brand ecosystem like that. Would hurt my brain.
No, I mean, even just like GoPro is now a whole ecosystem on itself, right? Like, now you got to have mounts and batteries and, the little screwy thing, like everything now, that's his own thing now. And then the cameras, that's his whole. So I try to simplify what I do. Because a lot of my style of work now, when I am capturing media, is very run and gun. So I got my backpack over there. It's ready to go right now. If the guys are like, hey, because that's how random it is for me. They're like, hey, we're going to go do this with this. I'm like, okay, give me 5 minutes. Then I'm putting my stuff together. Everything's charged. Everything's ready.
Grab your cold shoe shotgun, your 24-70, and get after
much.
it.
Yeah, pretty much. Then I'm running and gunning.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Okay. What's your favorite lens right now? Like, if you're just going to shoot for fun, what is your favorite piece of glass?
If I'm shooting photos, it is my 85 mil. My RF 85.
Okay. Is that a 1.2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I started shooting 85s years ago. I had a Sigma and I fell in love with it. It's a great focal length because it's not too far away and it's not too close like a 50, and it gives you just enough compression. And then with the 1.2, it just makes everything so creamy looking. It's just a perfect in between lens. Because I used to shoot with a 70-200 a lot, and this kind of replaced that.
Yeah.
70 to 200. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but that's it right now. Yeah.
Okay. I had an 85 in my bag for the longest time. I loved it. Then I found the 105 f1.4, and that thing is just, it's ignorant.
Yeah.
It's so stupid. Like the looks I get when I mount it on a camera, they're like, what the fuck is that thing? Because have you seen what it looks like?
No.
It's stupid. It's, here, I have it in my bag right here, actually. It looks outrageous.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It is such
Look at that element, dude. Well, like my 85 here, we'll compare, bro.
Okay.
The 85 looks like a freaking coffee can.
Why is it so fat? Is that because the F1? That looks ridiculous.
That's the first time I've heard that too. See, like
The sheer girth of it. God bless.
Yes. Keep talking. So it's a big boy.
This is ridiculous. I've never seen a lens shaped like this, and how the rear element is too. That's interesting. What does this retail for? Is this like a $3,000 lens?
I think it was 35. Yeah, 3,500. Yeah. But hey, my buddies at Bedford, they don't hook me up, but I do a lot of business with them. Bedford Camera here in OKC. If you want that lens or anything that you get, you can go to over there and get like a discount, like 5 or 10% off, I think. And
it's actually 10%. I use it for the A1.
Yeah.
So thanks.
You can hell yeah. Thank you. Yeah, just use code 405LOU, I think, or something like that at checkout, and they'll hook you up. But I pretty much get all my stuff now from them, just because I like working with them.
Yeah.
They've been real good to me, so I try to return the favor.
Definitely. And that's another thing I wanted to touch on as well. I want to talk a little bit more about gear, but your affiliation with Bedford is also a very interesting topic for me. So you have your R5 here. I am so far behind with Canon. Like once they started releasing mirrorless, like the R1, R5, like I don't know what any of it is anymore, because I'm invested in Sony, so that's what I know. Because
I'm the same though. Like ask me about Sony, I'm like, meh, I don't know anything.
When you're invested in your ecosystem, it's really hard to have the real estate to invest in research for stuff you're not going to buy.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's not worth my time.
What is the R5? Is this? It's mirrorless, right?
Yeah, it's mirrorless. So right now I do a 2-camera system. It's R6 Mark 1. The Mark 2 is out now, but that's my main video camera.
Okay.
And usually I rock a 15 to 35 RF lens on there with a Rode VideoMic Pro. And that's kind of my go-to video setup. Whenever I'm pretty much, that's what I capture everything video-wise with. Unless I don't have it on me, then it's whatever camera I got. My phone, a GoPro. Well, don't matter, right? You need to capture the content no matter what. And then for stills, I just got this camera maybe like 6 months ago or something like that.
Okay.
Right. And now it's for stills. So that's like a 45 megapixel.
Okay.
It's like a crazy high resolution camera.
Yeah.
It's also mirrorless, like the R6. New mounts, right? They do the new RF mount instead of the EF mount.
RF is crazy.
It is.
RF glass is absolutely insane.
It is. It's when I saw. When I first took that lens out, I had it on the R6. I think I went and shot a streetcar takeover. And I brought the images home. I was like blown away by the clarity and the sharpness of the... I've never had a lens that sharp, ever.
I've actually looked at images from the 85 too, and I was... Just even the 70 to 200 RF, right? Something like a super standard focal range, still f2.8, really basic, been around forever. For whatever reason, those images just have a certain look to them. Something about the RF glass that they're doing. I mean, I'm thoroughly impressed. You can tell that it's a very recent development, and it is like new tech because it looks unlike anything else.
Yeah, it is. So, but yeah, that's I've had a bunch of other lenses and stuff, but then I got a shop camera. That's like Asian's camera that I just use at the shop for. I pretty much
product and stuff.
Yeah, I got like a macro lens on it, and then I just shoot our product stuff with it there.
What do you use for macro?
So I do a couple things with macro. There at the shop, I think it's a DSLR. It's a Canon 6D Mark II.
God!
Which was my camera that I really cut my teeth on. Right. So anything you see before 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was that camera.
That was my first full frame.
Yeah. And it's a motherfucker to
It
shoot
is
with.
the biggest piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like, you're almost better off just using manual focus.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking hopeless.
Yeah, but dude, I figured out how to make it work. Low light, doing Street Outlaws. You know, like I
that shit comes out so crunchy.
Yeah.
If you like push it past 3200, like it's fried.
I usually kept it under 16.
Yeah.
You know, and then just try to keep you time your shots, right? There's some shots that you just can't get.
Yeah.
You know, so I knew that if I can get pretty good sharp images out there at on set for Street Outlaws, I just wouldn't go under like 1/250th.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So, but I can't get certain shots. I know that. I'm okay with that.
Some of the launch ones, you can't, because you got to be at like 1/320th for a lot of those.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. At least 1/320th. Yeah.
Right.
So, I have that, and then just like a cheap $300 Canon. I don't even know like the actual model of it, but it's like their least fanciest macro lens.
Okay.
Right. And that's what I use there. And then I've been getting into film photography. So I
saw that. Yeah. I saw you posting film shots and doing the digital to film comparisons.
Yeah. So I've been doing that a little bit. And so I use an RF with my, not an RF. I use just an EF 100 millimeter macro.
Okay.
To digitally scan my film.
Interesting.
Yeah. At home. Yeah.
Okay. Is there a benefit using a digital camera for reproduction as opposed to using a scanner?
I can't say that I've had experience using a scanner, but for me, it was it's how do I do this in the quickest way possible?
Okay.
Which means, well, I already got a camera, I already got a macro lens.
Right.
Well, let me just buy the light table and then point the camera down and then scan.
Yeah.
Now, from again, like I don't have first-hand experience, but they say that camera scans are higher res and more flexible since you're shooting them in RAW.
I believe that.
Yeah, than a scanner.
Right.
So,
Scanner's not going to have that same information to let you manipulate things in post.
Which you can't really manipulate film a whole lot. But from what I've seen online and done my research, I'd rather be doing DSLR or mirrorless scanning, with camera scanning, than like an Epson or something.
Okay, interesting. I have zero experience with film. I've never used a film camera before. Yeah. What kind of prompted you to get into that?
Man, I started. Everything started getting very. So I'm finally okay with saying that I. And it feels weird still to say it, but that I think I'm an artist.
Yeah.
Right.
100%.
But I'm like, I've never actually spoken these words. Like I've always felt like, don't say that. Right.
Right. Nobody wants to be self-proclaimed anything.
No. But the artist for me, it's not for anyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why I can say that, because it's just for me. So my film, like I started filming for YouTube. I started doing product photography, headshots, car shoots, like portraits, whatever, with the stills part of it. And that just became very stale for me.
Mm-hmm. A little too grindy.
Yeah, grindy. And it took kind of like the creativeness away from it. So, and also it's very high paced, right? Like I've done photo shoots that are high paying, thousands of dollar jobs that I have to knock out in an hour.
Ooh, I don't like time crunch stuff.
So it's stuff like that. So it became very, it's work. It's very stale, right? So I don't even know how I got started with film. I don't even remember it.
You just see one and you're like, that'd be cool to give that a shot.
Yeah, it was something like that. I'm trying to remember. I think it was just random YouTube stuff. And I found this YouTube channel that I really enjoyed. I think it's this channel called Grainy Days.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. The guy Jason, I don't know the guy, but he runs it. He's hilarious. I think he's a great photographer, and he talks about cameras. And I think somehow I just ended up surfing that, and then I researched it, and I bought what was it? Like a Canon AE1 program, and then went out to eat Tamashi with my girlfriend and my kids, and I was like, hey, let's go figure out this film camera thing. I loaded film in it, and we just walked around, and dude, like the vibe is completely different for me.
It's way different.
You know,
it's almost like immediate nostalgia.
It is, but like even like what I like the most is the process of it, right? So that's where I'm getting to is like the process of this is super stale, super high pace, it's work.
Yep.
And then this is like where I get to flex my my creativity, because I can slow down and look at a scene and then go like, oh, well, look how.
You have to be so much more intentional with film.
You do, and you have to look for shit. It's like, oh, look at this weirdly colored chair that the light is hitting.
Yeah.
When I have that on, I never look at that chair.
Right.
But when I'm doing film, it slows me down so much that I get to pay attention to everything. And then it's like making sure everything's manual, right? And you don't know what the shot looks like.
Is there any kind of metering or?
Some old cameras do have metering, but I also use a meter app on my phone.
Okay.
Right? So I learned how to do that. And then you got to set your settings. And then you got to make little choices of, well, I want to overexpose this a little bit. So you go up a stop. And
so there's no ISO with that. It's just shutter and aperture?
Well, the ISO is how sensitive the film is. Right?
Okay, so there's
different
ISO.
speed. Yeah, there's ISO, but it's film dependent. So there's 200 speed, 100 speed, 200, 400, 800, 1600.
So that's the physical material that you were loading into the
actual
camera.
film. Yeah, so you're locked into that. You're not really locked in, but that's what the box speed is for film. It's like 400 speed, so you set your camera to 400.
Okay.
But this is where like film gets interesting because, I want to, with digital, you underexpose your shots.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
And then you bring out the shadows, and you have more control, and it can give you more dramatic looks. But with film, you actually want to overexpose your shots because film can handle overexposure better than underexposure.
That's weird.
Yeah. So you can't bring out the shadows very much in film.
Interesting.
So you have to learn how to overexpose by 1 or 2 stops even.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, so
because digital. I mean, if you lose highlights, like they're gone. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but no, not with film. It likes to be overexposed. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's just a whole different process. And then I totally dove in where, like, I'm scanning at home, and I've got these things now, like these binders full of like negatives that I've cut and organized, and it's like my little thing that I do for myself. And I walk around downtown sometimes with friends of mine, like my friend Kevin with Noisy Camera. He's a local photographer, and we just walk around downtown in the mornings taking photos. So I've never really done that with film because it's from day one it was work.
Yeah,
I never got to be creative with my camera work until now with film.
Okay, so you guys just go out and explore, do some street photography, and just see what you can do.
Yeah.
So when I had more free time previously in the years past, I would kind of like to challenge myself and do something a little bit similar. I would put on a really inconvenient focal length, and I'd walk around and I'd be like, "All right, make this work." So I'd slap on like a 20, and I'd be like,
"Yeah,
how am I going to make any of this look like it's so wide? What am I going to do?"
Yeah.
So, or like there was one time. I think I went around downtown with like a 200 to 600.
Oh shit!
And it's like,
figure
it out.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Yeah,
you're looking at compositions way out there.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like stand in the middle of the street and pull it out to 600 and get low, and then you can get like a mile of buildings and it looks sick.
Yeah. Super compressed.
Yeah. You just have to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
Instead of me just putting on my 105 and just taking pictures of cars all the time. Like,
that's almost easy to do.
Yeah, it's once you figure out the look that you like, you kind of almost lean on that a little bit too much sometimes, and it becomes repetitive.
Yeah.
So I try to break out weird glass and shoots every now and then if I'm just like, man, I'm kind of just auto-generating shit at this point. Like I need to not do that.
But it's good.
It's good if you have a formula that people like and you know how to get things to look good. That is a strength to have, but when you abuse it, it's like
for you personally, it'll burn you out.
It does, yeah. Yeah. So, do you struggle like doing media outside of what you do for Farm Truck and Asian? Are you like, shit, I did this all day. Like the last thing I want to do is go out on a weekend to do more of this?
Well, yes and no, just because when I do it on my own, like I was said in the beginning, like I run 405 Photo, but it's not like my main gig. My main gig's with Farm Truck and Asian, right? So I do jobs that are easy or jobs that are high paying through that, right? So I'll do quick headshots.
Okay.
I can knock that out super quick. I got all the strobes. I got the 85, which is perfect.
You got a little studio space too where you're at, right?
Yeah. You've been over there. You've done headshots there.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were 2 clients I shot over there in a pinch when I didn't have any other place.
Yeah.
I pitched some studio prices, and I'm just like, fuck, dude.
It's expensive. Yeah.
It's stupid expensive.
Yeah. So, so I'll do jobs like that. But then my time is also consumed by non-work, which, I've got 2 teenagers, teaching them how to drive. One's just graduated high school. You know what I mean? So that's the whole dad life there. I've got a girlfriend, so that takes up a lot of my time. My parents are still around. My brother just had a little baby. You know what I mean?
Okay.
The family part, of it. And then it's trying to maintain friends. I still try to keep other hobbies going. Like I've had 3 major hobbies in my life, which I don't really get to do much anymore. I just play around, I still buy and collect guitars and amps and stuff like that. Because I used to play. Yeah.
How long did you play for?
Well, I started at 15.
Okay.
And then I went pretty hard until like my late 20s.
Okay.
I was in a band called Los Hijos. We were like the stoner rock band.
Okay.
And we had a small record deal with a local record company. We would go record stuff down in Texas with a friend of ours that had a something Line Studios, and we would do Midwest tours and stuff like that.
Okay.
Super fun.
What's your favorite brand to play?
To play what?
For a guitar.
Oh, I'm not really brand centric. I like different flavors.
Okay.
Like right now, I own Fender Jazzmaster, this 60s Japanese semi-hollow body.
Oh,
I'm really
wow.
super into like weird Japanese guitars right
cool.
now. And then like this other offset guitar that's made by Harmony. It's got silver coil pickups. It's also from the 60s. I bought it for like $300 and had this guy up in like the Northeast, Lord Guitars. He redid it all for me, rewound the pickups. And
So you're very much into like restoring vintage stuff.
Not really. I'm just into having cool shit.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah. And then I just bought this one guitar that I've wanted since I was 18, and I finally have enough adult money to buy it.
Nice. That's gotta be a good feeling.
It is, man. It is. It's I just bought this. It's called an Ovation GP, and Ovation's known for acoustic guitars.
Okay.
Right. But back in the 80s, they made a few solid body electric guitars.
Okay.
They made this guitar for 1 year. There's less than 500 of them out there.
So this is like a serious collector's piece.
Yeah. So it's mine now. Yeah. I don't have it yet. I literally just bought it a few days ago.
What did that set you back?
I don't want to talk about it. It's too much money. But the way I see it, I'll tell you off camera. Okay. It's a little embarrassing because I've never spent this much on a guitar.
I mean, man, like some people collect cars that don't run.
Yeah.
And they'll pay $1 million for it. Like,
bleep this out.
Okay, I'll cut it.
Don't cut it, but just bleep it.
Bleep it? Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's
a lot.
bad.
That's a lot for me. Like,
for a guitar, objectively for a guitar, that is not a small amount of money.
Yeah.
As far as being an adult and investing in your hobbies, that's nothing.
No, I agree. And what's cool about this guitar is that
that's almost what the lens was.
True, but I make money off of that. That's already paid for itself 3 times over. Can
you put a price on your mental health and investing in yourself?
Not at all. Yeah, not at all. Yeah, but no, like this guitar, it's only going to go up in value.
Okay,
right.
So it's an investment piece. It's not even just like some stupid piss away money.
No. It's not this weird exactly. It's not just this guitar that is going to depreciate. It's going to keep appreciating in value like it has.
Right.
Because when I was going to buy this guitar when I was 18, and I let it get away because I didn't have enough money yet. It was
okay.
Right.
Wow. So that has climbed.
It's climbed, and since there's less than 500, it was made for 1 year. It's going to keep going up.
Okay.
There was one color of this guitar that was the least made. It's the black one.
Okay.
Right? One of those sold for 10 G's. Right. So they're only going to keep going up. Yeah. So serious. It is a bit of an investment. It is a bit of like a, hey, I can finally buy this and not suffer. You know. Did
you get a nice like glass case for it?
Oh no, I'm going to play it. Yeah, I'm going to put it in the case. I'm going to grab it. I'm going to play. It's what I've always wanted to do.
That's crazy. What a flex though.
Yeah.
What a flex to be able to like go out and get this super limited run collector's guitar and just jam on it.
Like, it's whatever, dude. Yeah. It's still going to be worth something, you know?
Definitely. No, I mean, playing it's not going to devalue it.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's really cool about some things in art, you know, like cameras, obviously they will depreciate used. But it's like they hit a certain spot where it doesn't matter how much you use it after that point. It just sits there.
Yes, yeah. Cameras will all this except for the lenses. The lenses do depreciate. It just takes longer.
Right.
But dude, all this tech depreciating every fucking day because they're coming out with new stuff that replaces it every year, every other year now.
Yeah.
So I don't invest in cameras, like even like film cameras. God, I've collected maybe like over a dozen of them now.
Oh wow.
And those are going up in price.
Oh, cool.
Right. Those are
because they're out of production.
They're out of production. The ones that are working are all going up in price. I've already flipped a few of them and made several $100s just by flipping some cameras that I got a good deal on, you know.
So with film cameras, what do you feel are some of the major differences? Like, because they don't really have sensors. Because, you know, like if you compare Canon and Fuji, like the colors and it just feels different. Do you feel that way with some of the film bodies as well? Like they just have a different feel to it, or is it the different film sizes?
Yeah, so all of that. With film, the film itself has a vibe.
Okay.
Right. So Kodak, Fujifilm, and they all have their own. Like Fuji likes greens a little more, and Kodak, some Kodaks like, you know, warmer colors, but it's all in the film stock itself that gives you that look ultimately. Then you can get expired film, which is a whole different thing where like it has an expiration date. And if you use it past that expiration date, the film's degraded. So you get like these unexpected kind of grainy looks, or the colors are washed, or some things are just, you can't really tell exactly what's going to happen with them. They're more grainy.
That's kind of fun though.
It is fun to shoot expired film. Yeah.
You have no idea what it's going to come out like.
No, you don't until you get it, you know? Yeah. And then how you scan it, you know, I've gotten scans back from expired film that I was like, okay, I'm like, I didn't really like that so much. And then I scanned it and I'm like, oh, I like the colors better the way I did it. You know? So
interesting.
That matters also.
So the way the film is interpreted also affects the outcome.
Yeah.
Huh. Interesting. That sounds like a fun thing to explore, but also very stressful. Knowing that each shutter press costs me money.
Oh, yeah.
Just makes me super anxious.
Yeah, I mean, and the film's not cheap right now. Yeah, film is not cheap right now.
Is that one of the like scarcity, like limited production things right now, like just in the economy, like it's just hard to get film?
Yeah, and then like, you know, Kodak, I think, went bankrupt or whatever, right? Like they've been closing down factories. Fujifilm's been discontinuing a bunch of film. So Kodak, I think, went bankrupt and then came back, but they're like super small now. But I'm not super into keeping up with that stuff. I just know that it cost me $15 a fucking roll now instead of like 5 or 7 or 8, you know?
I mean, I think with just the advancement of technology and how easy it is to acquire, like even, you know, like a Sony APS-C mirrorless, like those things are $600-700 now. So now it's a lot more readily available, and I think it's kind of taken away the appeal of film cameras and things like, because film cameras are relatively cheap, right?
I mean, you can get a Canon AE1 $100.
Yeah. So I think that's a big appeal too, is how accessible it is. But with, you know, tech again aging out, depreciating, it becomes more accessible. Yeah.
I mean, even Canons like the R7, R8, you know, they're under $1,000.
Yeah,
you know, for the body.
That's crazy,
which is great. You know, but yeah, it's you want to shoot film, right? Like that's why you're going into it, because you want to do it. You're not doing it. Some people start it and then can do professional work with film. From what I've seen, there's still some professional guys out there doing work with it, but I would say 99% of, you know, people doing work with cameras are using a mirrorless or a DSLR. You know, they're not using film.
For sure. That's crazy. So what is being involved in the street racing scene like? Because that's a lot of what you're involved in, right? Like cash day stuff and things like that.
Well, you know, I haven't been so much lately. You know, Richard with 660 Street is constantly inviting me, but with my main focus being working for F&A, that schedule never coincides with an actual real deal street race.
Yeah.
You know, because I would do cash days down in Texas, like 2017, you know what I mean? Like super early on. And then now, I mean, literally when I was in Idaho, they're like, hey, dude, there's a race this Saturday. It's going to be big. You should come out. And I'm like, I'm in Idaho. I can't, you know, otherwise I would, you know,
Right.
but I just haven't had any time to really do that. The extent of my street stuff is going out and filming with Street Outlaws on a closed road for Discovery Channel.
Okay, so they do close off the roads and stuff?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is that kind of like going out in that environment, you know, are you ever like on edge when you're shooting because you don't know if somebody's going to go off road or if
no,
something's going to happen?
You know, I think you're like that with every race, you know, but they've done this long enough now that they know how to somewhat keep it safe, even though it's racing, right?
Yeah.
Accidents always happen. You're kind of, I think the guys that are racing know that if they're going to race, they're kind of putting their lives on the line a little bit, right? But no, out there on set, there's safety crews, they rent the road from the town.
Wow.
They close it off. They got cops at the beginning and the end, so no one goes in there. It's a closed set, so it's invite only. You just can't walk up and spectate.
Right.
So it's usually the racers with their teams.
So it's like the best case scenario. Like it's very thought out. It's not shoot from the hip. Like it's all very pre-planned and
very much so. Yeah. And then all they do is they create an environment and they have a bunch of camera ops and everyone's mic'd and audioed up and there's big lights, you know, like going down so you can see. And all they do is create an environment and then they let the guys do their thing.
Okay.
Right. It's like, this is the premise of it. You guys, then they don't control the reality after that. They're just like, all right, you guys are racing for this, right? And they're like, yep, that's what we're doing here. So then they just start doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's pretty cool. Yeah,
Okay.
it's pretty cool. It was, you know, we didn't get to film that this year because the guys went to Australia this year to film some racing there. And then we're doing No Prep Kings. There's 16 races of those this year. Mm-hmm. And then we're doing our locals only stuff within that. So there's just hasn't been any time to film the street show this year. But last year we filmed it. And like the guys, F&A took like a couple Jeeps out, all-wheel drive Jeeps, you know, out, and we're kicking people's asses. People are getting mad because they're all-wheel drive.
That's a huge conflict in the street scene is all-wheel drive versus big tire, small tire.
Yeah.
You know, people saying that they're trying to add up like the tread width of all-wheel drive and, you know, is it fair versus a big tire and this and that? And it's just like, man, I don't know. Run what you brung.
Just line them up.
Don't cry about it. Yeah.
I mean, I ain't a racer no more, but just line them up, dude.
Right?
You know,
Yeah.
just race.
Yeah.
Yeah. But people like to argue.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's...
So, but that's pretty cool. I've always really enjoyed, and that's kind of where I cut my teeth. Where I felt, because I was shooting very often, because sometimes, man, we'd do 2-3 times a week that we'd go film. And it was pretty much when we were doing that schedule, it was you have to film at night. That way the lighting's always the same, right? For them, they go, because they're trying to capture the action. So if they film when it's dark all the time, they don't got to mess with color balance. They don't got to mess with nothing. They set it
Clouds,
once
sun
and
position.
they go. Yeah.
Yep.
Right. So that's the purpose of filming at night for that.
I think that kind of ties in with the whole like undercover street racer, you know, kind of mood too.
Oh no, for sure. I mean, that was I think again, like that's not my story, but when the show got pitched, they're like, it's blue collar guys that work all day and then go and race at night.
Yeah.
Right. That was the initial premise of the show from what Farm and Asian have told me. So yeah,
it seems like that's pretty well dialed in. I mean, it's obviously branched off from that a little bit now.
A lot. Yeah. I can't even keep up. I can't even watch everything that's going on anymore.
Right.
Yeah. But that's where I cut my teeth, man. That's where I learned how to shoot in low light very well. I was using that, 6D Mark II and was able to get shots, I could get it. You tell me to get a shot, I was going to get it. I learned how to shoot very well, shooting so often at these races. And that's, I think, why my skill was, back then, it was even less than now. 16, what is that? 7 years, I think, that I've been shooting, so I'm getting up there now in years, but man, like when I was like 4 years into it, people were like, they couldn't believe I'd only been shooting for 4 years. And it's like, well, I've compacted so much
when you're doing it constantly
behind the camera. Yes. Your skill is going to rise exponentially very, very fast. So that's what happened to me is immediately I had to work, and it was high paced and it was a lot, and you get really good in a short period of time when you do that.
Yeah, I sort of did something similar. I was out processing from the military, but I had a Rebel SL2. That was my very first camera. So it's kind of on par with like a T3i. And I would go out every night because everybody says, oh, you have like a super just garbage APS-C, like old tech. It's going to fall apart in low light. So I said, okay, I'm going to go out like as many nights as I can, and I'm going to see what I can do with it. So that's where I learned like long exposure stuff.
Yeah.
And, buying better glass. Like I had a 50 f1.8, and that helps a lot. Awesome for that. So
yeah, I remember I shot my first TX2K in 17. And that was in my bag. It was a Canon Nifty 50, right? The 50 mil f1.8.
It costs like nothing. Yeah, it does like really good results.
It does really good. And like we did TX2K. I got hired by Kevin Cox, which he was doing that Street Race magazine at the time. Kind of under the Drag Illustrated banner, I think. And he's like, hey, like let's go shoot TX2K. I'm like, cool. Went down there. I had a 70-200, and then I had my Nifty 50. That's all I had in my kit.
Man, that's really all you need.
Yeah. But dude, it's a lot of the fun out there. I don't know if you've ever been, but a lot of the fun out there is after hours.
Yes, the actual event is just so congested and so saturated. It's almost like watching an NHRA event.
Really. A little bit, yeah.
And then but
all the street stuff, all the meat stuff.
That's why people go.
Yeah, that's why it's a culture.
Nobody cares about the actual event.
Yeah, they care a little bit, but mainly the people go down there to fuck around.
Oh yeah. I get to hear the stories from like Brad McGraw and Ahmad and all the people like them that go down every year. Yeah, I personally haven't been able to make it to one yet. It's a really big commitment, with it is the work that I've had tied up. It's like not only are you not making money during that time, but you also have to pay money to go down there on like a week's worth of hotels. Like, that's not cheap, man.
Well, that's where you have to try to work the angles of what companies can I help by me being down there.
Yeah.
Finding out, okay, well, can I go shoot media for whoever, right? For Nitrous Express, look at who's down there, what they're using, and see if they need the content, right? So you can sell yourself that way, sell your services that way, or like for my instance, it was for a magazine. I didn't pay anything, right? It was paid for by the magazine for me to go down there.
That's amazing,
right? So that's kind of if you go down there by yourself, it's going to cost you a lot, and the only way you'd make money is if your YouTube's monetized, if your Facebook's monetized, if you're, then the content you create is going to give you revenue. Otherwise, you're not going to make any money.
It's hard, man. It's hard.
It is. Yeah, it is.
So I want to circle back to your relationship with Bedford Camera.
Okay.
So you teach a class every year at PhotoCon, right?
Well, when I can.
When you can?
When I'm in town, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I don't know, from my viewpoint, it seemed like that historically, that's something that you're pretty consistent with. It seems like.
I missed last year, I think, because we were traveling.
Okay.
But yeah, so Eric up at Bedford, just through me going in there and talking and, networking, ended up inviting me to, the first thing I did was, PhotoCon, and what was it? The first thing I did was like a PhotoCon. I don't know what they call it, like a conference, where like not a conference, but like it's like a digital live. It was like during COVID, and so like the PhotoCon wasn't actually happening there, and I just pretty much went up there and started talking about who I was and how I got certain shots, and I had a little slideshow and I had a little speech kind of thing.
That's cool.
And that was the first thing I did, and it was just in a big conference room with all these cameras. It was live feeding and stuff.
Okay.
I'd never done public speaking before that, so I was shitting my pants. I had notes, and I was like, I missed a third of what I was going to say, but it's over.
Man.
So I did that, and then I taught what they do is they call them envoys, which is like the before PhotoCon starts, they have a Thursday's photo walk essentially.
Okay, yep.
And this one year I had Misfire Motorsports bring up the Dung Beetle, Asian's Dung Beetle.
Oh, cool, yeah.
And then their main Subaru, I don't know whatever WRX or whatever Sean's racing right now.
The gray Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Both of those cars, and then I set up on top of this parking garage, and people just followed me up there, and I would just help. I'd walk around and be like, "Oh, so you're getting this shot? Let me teach you how to fine tune it to why instead of like this, you want to go like this, and
right?
Leading lines and blah blah blah, right? So
Okay.
then I'd go to each one and watch what they were doing, and then I'd move the cars around, different scenarios, different lighting, and I did that the first time, and then this year I actually have another one coming up in November where I'm doing it. This time it's actually in the PhotoCon. You actually have to pay. So I'm doing two. I'm doing a photo walk on Thursday, and then Friday is my class where I'm gonna, not really a class, I guess it is, but I'm just gonna help people figure out how to shoot a car, right?
Okay.
What angles I have found that work, what lenses do different things, stuff like that. I haven't fully fledged it out because I've been gone so much, but that's my homework for the next 2 months while I'm on the road to figure out exactly how I'm gonna teach this class.
And this just branched off just from one of the reps talking to them, and then they kind of just threw you into this. Is
yeah,
be a cool niche to cover.
Yeah, like Eric, I don't know how he figured out who I was. I think through people that I know and that I've met. There's Robert Trawick that also has a relationship with Bedford. I met him because he's done work around some of the same people I have in the past. And so Eric is the head honcho up there at Bedford, and it was him that contacted me, and then saw my work, and has pushed me more and more and more to help me try to help the community, because that's been really fun, teaching people that have no clue.
Yeah.
Right. Just small little pointers that I remember me learning, sometimes it's a little change in how you do something opens up a whole
entire
world.
difference. Yeah.
So it's been really fun, giving back to the local community to be able to do that.
For sure. Yeah, it's got to be super fulfilling.
Very much
I'm
so.
sure everybody else appreciates it too. It's you can take the time to do everything on your own and learn all these lessons the hard way, more or less than I have. I didn't really ever have a mentor or anybody to really show me anything. It's all just YouTube videos and stuff that I've learned on my own.
Yeah.
But that takes time. You have to be in the position to figure it out and try and learn what you're doing wrong. But if there's somebody there to show you, that speeds up that process so much faster.
Man. Yeah. Every chance I've gotten to be around someone, to ask questions or even just watch them work. Right. I remember one time it was, we were at SEMA, maybe 2017-ish, 2018 maybe. And the guys were there, Discovery Channel was there. They had a whole outside section for the Street Outlaws, a bunch of cars. So I, through networking, made friends with people at Discovery and that were a bit of shot callers, and I think we were just gotten back from dinner or something, and we were walking into we had rooms at the Encore, and we were walking through, and then Discovery Channel guy is he's he knows I do photos, right? So he's like, "Hey Lou, we got a photographer here doing promotional photos for us in a conference room down this way. If you want to go look." I asked him earlier, and he said it was cool if you stopped by. I'm like, well, hell yeah, thanks, dude. So this guy's a pro. This is what he does.
That's
right?
cool.
He's a very high level photographer. His name's Noah Schutz, right? And walked in there, and it was, my mind was blown by the setup that he had, the team that he had, and just by watching. I didn't even say much. I was just there in the corner, just observing.
Yeah.
And dude, he had this huge. This wall here. It was bigger than that with the white background. He had 4 white plexi boards that were 8 foot by 4 foot that people were standing on.
Oh wow!
It was big production because they had to do all these
Looks
stills.
like a New York fashion shoot.
Yes, it was the biggest shoot I've ever just walked into. I was like, what the hell's going on? And all the Discovery talent was walking in.
Okay.
And they had to do like this Christmas stuff where they're like opening boxes and they're still, and stills for different shows. So they were pretty much like, he had a shot list of what they needed. And he was just in there like, okay, we need this. Now let's just switch the setup for this.
A big, like essentially just batch like work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And dude, like just going in there, I learned so much because what that taught me is that if you can eliminate all the technicality of work and let yourself just be creative with your camera, that is the ultimate point that you want to be as a creative in the on the job, right?
Yeah.
If you are shooting stills and you have lights to set up and you're the only one out there and the wind's blowing and now you got to worry about lighting and your talent is moving weird and then you have all these variables.
So many friction points.
Yeah. So if you eliminate all that and only worry about connecting with the person, right? It's like it's minimal what you do, but you just let the creativity flow. And that requires a team. So what he had out there, he had, I don't know, 10 to 12 people for a stills shoot.
Yeah.
Right. So he had makeup people, he had lighting people, he would talk to the talent and he would just go like this and someone would hand him a camera and be like, all right, let's shoot. And he starts shooting. And then, all right, he would just be talking to the people. He was tethered to he had like a studio on wheels, right? And it was tethered to like his MacBook and through Capture One, I think, and there he had like immediate presets that would edit the photo, and so he didn't have to do much editing. Even
I see a lot of people do that with product.
Yeah.
They'll have their laptop or whatever next to them. They take the shot and it's like live view right there. And it's just immediately right accessible.
There. Yeah. So then he'd be done. He'd hand the camera off. He'd keep bullshitting, right? He was just laughing with the person, talking to them. And then he'd be like, all right, I want to go look at these. And he'd go look and all right, yeah, they look good. All right, let's set this up. And they change stuff up. And so just the flow.
It's so important to have that because I'm sure, as you know, like as you've shot portrait work, whatever somebody's thinking, whatever they're feeling, wherever they're at mentally will translate through onto the camera.
Yes, very much so.
I fell victim to that issue one time. It's the only time I've ever refunded anybody for a shoot. The one time this couple wasn't happy. I guess they were fighting at the beginning of the day and then they both skipped lunch. And then one of them got lost, like on the way to the shoot. The guy did because they took two different cars and met up with me.
Okay.
And like immediately, I was like, "Oh man, like
this is not going to be good."
Yeah. So I did what I could with what I had, and they were both like, "These photos are bad," and I'm like,
"Y'all were bad."
These photos are great. These are great photos of two pissed off people.
Yeah.
Like that's not me, but I'm like, whatever. I'll stand behind it, and if you're not happy, then we can reshoot or give you your money back.
Right. Right. Ultimately, yeah.
Yeah. So having that communication with your talent is like, I don't want to say the most important thing, but it's definitely up there.
Oh yeah, I mean when you're doing portrait work, you want to bring their essence to the camera, right? Yeah. So
they
very
have to
important,
feel comfortable,
very very much
friendly. Yeah.
So, but I learned a lot that day, and then fortunately for me, I connected with Noah on Instagram, and he's helped me a lot during the years, just pointers and stuff. And he now lives in Texas, so I need to go visit him and hang out with him because he's from LA.
Okay.
I learned a lot that day. It's stupid. It's like the little shit, like I'm saying, like when I'm at this photocon, I'm like, try this little thing. One little thing I learned from him was I was dead set on low ISO all the time, right? And I was watching him work, and I'm like, he's shooting at 400 ISO. Never back then, right? That would never even cross my mind because it was always of everything you read or watch. It's like 100 ISO, low ISO, low ISO. Then I watched it, and I'm like, well, why the hell are you doing that? And he's like, well, it's less stress on everything. Right, 400 ISO. With today's cameras, it's still crystal clear.
Yeah,
my strobes aren't at 1-to-1 power.
You get that faster recycle time.
Yes, exactly it. So now it's part of the flow.
So doing real estate, I actually do the same thing. I actually shoot at 320 or 400, and it just kind of puts me in a better threshold to where, I'm not stressing recycle time. I'm not killing batteries. It just makes everything a little bit easier.
Everything, yeah. So I learned that with him, and I've applied it ever since. You know, I haven't been afraid of ISO in professional work anymore.
Yeah, I don't think you really see anything, you know, until like maybe 1600, and that's when you're like pixel peeping and some stuff might show up. And even then, like nobody's gonna give a shit.
Yeah.
We're the only people pixel peeping our work.
Very
like,
much. Yeah. Yeah.
And especially on phones, like, no one's going to see that.
Yeah.
So, do you ever like get into shooting anything else? Like, you know, I did a wedding last year. I do real estate sometimes. I kind of just do whatever sounds like fun. Mm-hmm. You've mentioned obviously, you know, automotive and some portrait work, but is there anything else that you're just like, you mentioned product as well, but like, is there anything kind of out of the ordinary that you would go out and shoot? Cinematically lit chairs. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, mainly it's the work stuff, right? So I've had to learn how to do certain things because, you know, like for example, just recently we did almost a real estate type shoot, where we found this really nice house. And F&A now has developed these really cool rugs, right? Kind of left field for them, but we're trying something new. You know,
a rug.
Yeah, it's like it's a jean leather patch. So it's like all the Levi's patches and like whatever other polo and a bunch of brands, and that's a rug, right? For your home, right?
Wow, okay.
It's pretty cool looking. But we needed to do product photos for this.
Okay.
Right. So I'm like, okay, well, shit. You know, it's not a white background with, you know, like lights and.
It's not going to be a backdrop situation.
No. So I figured out. First thing I did is like I screw. I have this little drop in my studio. I don't know if you've ever seen it. That little like comes out. It's like this wood and aluminum kind of looking thing. So I screwed it's like an overhang, right? I screwed the rugs to it, and I strobed it, right, and I got those kind of product shots. But then we're like, well, we need environmental type stuff, right? So then we found this really nice house, thanks to Mike with This Is Oklahoma. He hooked us up with.
He does a lot of really high dollar listings.
Yeah. So he, exactly. We needed a certain look, so we ended up. Going to this guy's Wyatt's house, gorgeous home up by Arcadia, and set the rugs up. So now I'm like shooting real estate. Never really done that, you know. But now I have to set up these rugs and shoot them in like a big environment, you know, and stuff like that. So, but mainly my work is very work centric, right? So it's automotive, it's motorsports, it's product, it's people portraits, it's headshots, and then the fun stuff is more street photography and landscape or cityscape type of stuff, right?
Is that like the most fun or satisfying thing to shoot for you? Is just naturally lit, you know, go out and do street stuff? Or?
The fun stuff for me is where I'm not making any money.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
you know,
there's no expectations, no pressure.
Yeah. It's just for me and for the person that's involved. If there's someone involved, you know, like before I started traveling a lot this year, I got with Richard from 660 Street and shot his Nova. And that was super fun for me.
I saw the video. That video was awesome.
Yeah. So I did that just for fun. And that was super fulfilling. Even though it's still automotive, it's still a car, but it wasn't work.
It was more connecting with a person and what he's about than it was about just documenting a car.
Yeah. And then on my side, it's the artist part of it, right? It's like, I can really push. I would never shoot a car this way when I'm doing automotive work. Yeah. But I get to whenever I'm doing these self projects like that. Right.
You get to try new things and do whatever you want.
Yeah.
You get to get out of your element. You know, I feel like for paid work, people expect kind of,
you're doing it for them.
Your brand has a look, right? So people kind of expect a certain result when they book you for stuff. But yeah, it's cool when you have your own projects. You're just like, this doesn't look like my stuff at all, but I want to try something.
Yeah, and that's how you grow.
Yeah.
You know, that's how you grow your look and your style and your brand is doing those self projects like that, you know.
Do you ever do any kind of like compositing or anything like that? Or you typically just like shoot things how they are?
Oh, well, I'm a graphic designer first before a photographer.
Okay.
So I've done a lot of compositing in my days.
For photos or just for design work?
For everything.
Okay.
Yeah, for photos. I mean, even like just recently when I got back from like this 5-week stint that we did for No Prep, my friend Amelia was like wanting to do a baby shoot, like a baby announcement thing.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Never done that before. But her and Chuck are awesome people. They've always treated me so nicely. So I said, yeah, sure. She had a cool concept behind it, very editorial, and then cars, and she's a model, so she knows how to pose and do all that stuff.
Okay.
So I did that. And then I did, getting to that was, I love to do, and I always mess up the name, but it's like the Bessinger method, or pretty much it's like a 9-photo stitch job. Then you composite these photos together. And it gives like the photo like a super like even deeper depth of field when you do that, right? So like the process is like
I think you shoot wide open and it's like a panorama.
Yeah, so you shoot wide open with a long lens,
Right.
and you pretty much get your subject right in the middle. Then you shoot all around it. So it's 9 shots all around. So compositing stuff like that,
Okay.
And sometimes, man, when I'm in a tight spot, like I'll shoot 3 or 4 photos just to get one because I got too long of a prime lens to shoot, stuff like that. So
Yeah, okay.
And then just every once in a while, like I'm not a big fan of like taking. I'll exaggerate skies and stuff, but I don't really like
Sky swaps and things
yeah,
like
sky
that.
swaps. Like I'm a big fan. I've never, and even for my personal work, I've just I could do it, but I don't know. I'm not really into it. Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is any kind of compositing with lighting.
Mm-hmm.
I incorporate that into my real estate work, and it's super fun to do with cars. It's like light painting,
Mm-hmm.
but less long exposure and more just stacking layers of differently lit segments. Like that, to me, pulling that off and getting that to look good, it's something that I struggle with, obviously. So that's like the one thing that I really want to get dialed in. So when I have a good end result, that's just like my fuck yeah moment.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, yeah, I did it. Like this is something that I suck at, and I pulled it off. Like
hell yeah.
But even in like houses, it just gives it a certain look.
Yes.
That's like when I picture a living room and I'm looking at the end result, like what I picture in my brain does not look like that. It almost looks like a render. And I don't know, there's just something cool about that, like to be able to get that end result.
Yeah. I've done so like having a graphic design background. I've been working with Photoshop since I was in high school.
Yeah.
Right. So like the whole editing part of photography was super easy to me. So like a very, very early job of mine was Fireball Camaro, which Ryan Martin now is the whole like the racer, and it's changed the way it is now. They used to try to make these like aftermarket Fireball Camaros. That were that people could just buy.
Okay.
Right. Now it's more of a racing program than them trying to sell a product. But back in the day, they had these Fireball Camaros, like a 2017s, 2018s, and the company that was helping them with the marketing hired me, and they're like, we kind of want this look, and it was a strobe light painting thing, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've never done it, but I didn't tell them that. I'm like, yeah, I could do that, And so like we parked this car in one of their warehouses, and I set up the frame how I wanted it, the composition.
Dude, I want to do a warehouse shoot so bad.
Yeah, but dude, that was my first one. It was just popped it with light, went back into Photoshop, and I mean layers with Photoshop and stuff like that. That comes easy to me.
Yeah,
it's just because I've been doing it for so long.
Yeah,
but yeah, light painting and compositing like that is super fun. Yeah, if you ever want to go around and mess around with that, it'd be fun to go do.
Definitely, that's one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
I feel like it requires really out of the box thinking. It's so easy to kind of just go out and shoot things natural light, and then you fall into the rhythm of the same post processing.
Yeah.
But the process of compositing with lighting just forces you into an entirely different way of thinking, and like I enjoy that. Like the camera staying still and you just have it at like F8 or whatever.
Yep.
That's totally opposite to what we do mostly on day-to-day on other shoots. So it's just like you focusing on the lighting and what you're doing with that. I don't know. It's
it's super fun. It's I don't get to do that very often, but when I do, it's really enjoyable.
It takes a lot of time. That's the one thing that sucks.
Yeah, like, for one photo, you got 2 hours invested, and then the editing.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's why people are like, charge how much for like 4 pictures? And I was like, it's not really 4 pictures. You get 4 pictures.
Yeah.
I take like 200.
Yeah.
Because I gotta, there's maybe 10 layers in a photo, and I might take 10 out of the 30 that I originally shot. And it's like, there's a lot to it.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah. So what are some of the things that you have that you're working towards, like goals that you want to achieve? Obviously you're working with F&A right now, and that's seemingly going really well. You just got back from Idaho doing some work.
Yeah, doing the No Prep King stuff up there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that like? That had to have been crazy.
Yeah, it's just a lot of work. It's that one trip alone was just a long trip. Like we left on a Monday, got
like
there on Wednesday.
Drive.
Yeah, and then we did the event Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then drove home Sunday, and I got back Sunday, Monday, Tuesday night.
Where was it shot at?
Eagle, Idaho.
Okay, and that was just like some back road.
No,
blacktop.
No, it's No Prep Kings. So they do.
Was it at a track?
It's a track.
So that was
Firebird Raceway.
Firebird. Okay.
Yeah. So they go to track to track, and it's like a point series and stuff that they're doing. And our show is a little different. The show that I'm involved with is locals only, where they grab 8 local guys and they do like an 8-car bracket. And then they race for $5,000, and then the winner of that gets to race in a small tire car, gets to race an outlaw in a big tire car for another $5,000. It's pretty cool.
Dang, that's intense.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So we were doing, that's what we're doing this year. We're doing 16 of those.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was that like for you? Have you been to Idaho previously?
Oh yeah. This is my that was my third time.
Third time. Okay.
Yeah. But it's always been for work. It's never been for fun.
Man.
Yeah.
So I grew up in Mountain Home, which is about an hour away from Eagle.
Okay.
And I've never been to that track.
You should
never
go.
Been to the track
because man, there's all this new development now going on around it, and if it keeps going like it is, it's going to happen. Yep, it's going to happen like all these other tracks. They're going to shut, even though the track's been there for over 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Don't matter. New neighbors will complain, and then the tracks unfortunately get shut down. Yeah.
I don't understand, like, at what point we have to correct the cycle, like what has to happen, because history just continues to repeat itself. They'll build a track, it'll be established for 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
Housing developments around it, track shuts down, street racing is prevalent, they build another track.
I think it's cyclic. I don't know if they're stopping it, but unfortunately, we're losing more tracks than we're getting new ones.
Right now, yeah, like these last 2 years have been bad.
Yeah.
Like Bandamere, legendary.
Yeah. Wild. I'm going there, not this weekend, but the next for the last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm guessing you've been there a few times previously.
Yeah. That's probably one of my favorite tracks to go to.
Same.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's built on the side of a mountain.
Yeah.
Like I'm super fortunate that I got to go there in 2021 with Women in Wheels and Street Car Takeover. And that was an experience. You know?
I think I've been there 3 or 4 times now, and I love it.
I don't love the stairs.
Well,
I don't love the stairs.
A lot of that is just hard for for me, like get short of breath real quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, the altitude too. Yeah, for sure.
But no, unfortunately, it's stuff like that. Who knows? They say they're going to rebuild in a different area in 2025, but man, these tracks don't really make any money. They're almost nonprofits.
The automotive industry is just being crippled right now with the EPA, hitting people with these huge fines. Like, did you hear what happened with PFI Speed? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you have all that happening, all these diesel companies shutting down and tracks shutting down. It's really hard to continue to find ways to support this, and other than just go to your track. But I feel like this is becoming a dying industry.
Unfortunately, it feels like the push from the government to go electric and them putting more and more restrictions on diesel and aftermarket parts. Mm-hmm. I've been to countries like Australia where anything off-road is seriously taken. There's no that if they catch you street racing, they'll crush your car.
Oh, wow.
Right. They're extremely strict with regulation, and off-road stuff stays off-road. You cannot drive these cars on the road. So every hot rod we have here in Oklahoma, you can't do that in Australia. And it almost feels like this country is moving in that direction where they're going to get, it's going to be just highly, highly regulated. You know,
I hate it. I mean,
it takes all the fun out.
It does, man. I mean, you look back at like 2008, 2010, that time frame, like the vehicles that were being built, what people were doing to them. I mean, I feel like every truck was deleted. You know, every performance car, just people did whatever to it, and nobody thought twice about it. Half the states didn't have smog testing back then, and I feel like it's just getting worse and worse. And you know,
well, I know even like now I'm speaking out of the side of my neck a little bit. Like even like Misfire Motorsports tuner Ben had some stuff go down with the tune, like the software he uses to tune cars.
Cobb,
Cobb. That's what it was. And they now have all these different restrictions of stuff you can't do to these cars because of they're scared of the government coming down and regulating them or fining them or, you know, whatever.
Yeah, if they're providing anything that enables the possibility of emissions defeat tuning or anything like that, then they can be held liable, which... Like, I kind of get it, but it's also kind of stupid because it's kind of up to the end user what they do. And I think, I don't know, I mean, the EPA altogether can fuck off. They're, you know, like a straight piped Honda Civic is not putting a hole in the fucking ozone layer. Like, look at cruise ships, look at factories.
Look at all the airplanes.
The private planes that they take to go literally anywhere. Like, give me a fucking break, dude.
Yeah.
It's because I want to put, you know, headers on my Corvette. Like, you want.
Yeah. EPA. Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I'm also really into firearms.
Yeah,
you know, like I and then just seeing them, that's been a dying battle, you know, since forever now, since the assault weapons ban in the 90s. Like, they just keep chipping away at our Second Amendment
restrictions.
Rights. You know, so it's the same thing there. You know, they just want to regulate the firearms.
I'm not super well versed in the world of firearms, but like even getting a suppressor is like a huge thing, right?
You
have to put in for, it's like a stamp or something.
Yeah, you just have to fill out more forms,
and it takes like over a year. Yeah,
it takes over a year. You have to fill out extra forms, and pretty much the suppressor will cost you $500, and the form will cost you another $5 or something like that, right? So they're just pretty much they know that you have it, and they want you to pay to have it.
That's
right. Yeah, same thing with SBRs.
There's a lot of regulation with SBR as far as like dimensions and stuff like that.
So, whatever. Not to get too political in this fucking thing. But,
well, I mean, like when all your hobbies are what they are, and the government is fucking with all of them except for media equipment. You know, thank God there's no restrictions on that.
But there is, right?
Are there? Oh, copyright stuff, I guess.
No, well, like so. Because what we do is we output media, right? But if you output like on TikTok, right? So how they regulate that, and it's not really government, but it's what we do with Farm Freaking Asian is never considered really safe, right? We got a fucking boat that's on tri-tunes that goes 90, you know what I mean? We do burnouts, we do cool shit like that. We go street race, we go race. We got a golf cart that does wheelies, right? We do all this shit, right? And the regulation now comes from the companies that don't want to show dangerous acts. So we get hit with TikTok, like going, oh, we limited your reach because of this is considered dangerous acts. And then I have to appeal and say, hey, this is what we do for a living, right? We're literally paid to do this. We're professionals. You know, like
living your life isn't safe.
Yeah,
like,
so
just get over
but
it.
So we are restricted in that sense where maybe it's not the government doing it, but it is now this new age of what is considered safe and not safe. That is, you know, it's all over the place now. It's on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you put out something real crazy, sometimes you got to hit that. This content is sensitive. Do you want to view this content? And it's like, it wasn't even that bad, you know?
Now YouTube is taking down a lot of stuff. I noticed it's like if you're filming while driving in really any capacity.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So YouTube in that sense, the camera stuff, buying and selling camera gear, that shit ain't restricted. But the content that you're capturing can be restricted, you know? Like I can't do any, like I can't ever really share any of my gun stuff.
Yes,
even if it's just a picture of a gun, right? Like I got really into competitive pistol shooting, and I got these cool guns, and dude, I would love to like film that and share with people.
Oh, that'll get snuffed so fast.
And dude,
Facebook, dude, forget it.
Yes.
Yeah, no.
Like it would even hurt my page.
Yeah.
So I don't even want to post the pictures.
Even buzzwords like gun, firearm, ammo, whatever. Like that's why people are like, yeah, my Freedom Seed dispenser, and you know, 'cause you don't want to get flagged.
Yeah. Just saying different words, but yeah. So in that sense, you know, your media is kind of snuffed a little, you know, stifled a little bit.
Unfortunately, yeah, you're right with that. So anyways, getting back on topic, what are some goals or some things that you hope to achieve in the future?
I would like to continue to grow the Farm Chicken Asian YouTube channel. So I've headed this up for them for the last few years. They had a channel, and just by popularity, they had gained subscribers, but they weren't really doing anything with the channel. And I come from a generation that I watch a lot of YouTube, right? I have not had cable for like 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So I've been on YouTube, Netflix. I've been on all the cord cutting or whatever the hell, like on that trend for a long time. And I was like, man, we have this channel that we're not using. Let's start doing stuff with it. We did a few videos here and there, and then we sat down, and the guys were like, dude, like we need to do more video. And I'm like, I agree. Let's start doing video. So right now the channel, I think it's like at 316,000 followers or subscribers on YouTube. Man, I would love to get that to 1 million. You know, I think we can. You know, the growth is very good on that channel, but it's just a lot of work, especially with the traveling. It's almost impossible. I can't edit while driving. I'm in a car. If I was in a big vehicle sitting in the back, I could, but in a car and like, I cannot edit video.
A lot of people don't understand that. Like that's one of the toughest things about race week is not during the day when you're out shooting, but it's the fact that like the guys racing get to do that during the day. They check the car, it's good. They go eat, they go sleep, whatever. We are only halfway through the workday.
The media people, you got to clock in at night now at your night job.
Yeah, and you got to get those edits done. You're going to bed at like 4 a.m. I mean, I imagine it's pretty similar to what you're doing, trying to get stuff out.
Yeah, and I mean, even like this weekend, I literally Saturday, which is the longest day of our filming day at these No Prep Kings. It's I get home sometimes at home. I get to the hotel at 10, 11, 12, depending on how late we go. Shit, we didn't finish at one race till like 2 or 3 in the morning, right? You know what I mean? So it all depends. But I still have to go. Everyone there is done. Everyone there working with us gets to eat, shower, go to sleep. I eat, shower, start dumping data, organizing folders, start importing stills.
That is like the bare minimum what you have to do. Like
and
you have to get that shit off your SD card to keep it safe.
Yes, and keep it organized. Because if I don't, there goes my squirrel brain.
Oh, dude, if you accidentally format the next day or something, you are beyond.
And I've done it. I've done it before. I've lost footage. I've lost stills because I'm like, yeah, I saved that last night. No, you didn't. So it's just part of it, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so like this Saturday, everyone was done sleeping. I'm up till 2 a.m. trying to organize files, trying to start my stills edits, for that week, so I can start putting content out for the following week from that event. I was doing that this morning before I got here. You know what I mean? Like it's
doesn't stop.
It doesn't stop. So the life of the media guy is you got 2 jobs almost. You're capturing and then you're outputting.
Yes, it's hard, man. It's hard. So you want to continue to grow their YouTube channel?
Yeah. I mean, and that's a bit of a personal goal for me. I would like to continue to do that. I'd like to grow the channel from more than just like capturing what we're doing to like do more intentional things, which we don't have time to do, just having like ideas to like, oh, what if we set up actual, not skits, but like a thought out video where we're like storyboarding some stuff. Yeah. And
something a little more cinematic and
a little bit, but still kind of goofy, like not super cinematic, but just kind of Mr. Beast style stuff.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and just do more of that type of stuff. I'd like to do more of that because then you get to flex a whole other side of your creativity where you're directing and right and stuff like that, setting up intentional shots of like, oh well, someone's going to put their hand here and open this, right, and you're just filming that,
working on transitions and stuff. Where when you're vlogging, you know, it's just basically dry cuts.
Yeah. So on that stuff, I'd like to do that more of that with that channel, just keep growing it. Right, millions only the first step. I like to keep going and going. I think the channel has a lot of potential. And then personally, professionally, I'd like to just get more work done with myself, right? Like just make more money as 405 Photo when I have time. I'd like to. Right now, I'm also working on my YouTube channel. It's not much, 2,000 subscribers, but even that's hard to get.
Dude, that's a good metric. Yeah,
it is. You know,
like everyone's so desensitized because they see the big channels, 3-4 million. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's just like the baseline for a big YouTube channel. It's like, you have no idea what it takes.
But 90% of the channels are under like 100,000.
Yeah.
Right. It's like the biggest chunk of YouTube is small.
Yes.
Right. So, but I started working on my channel this year. I committed to try to do more videos on it.
Okay.
And I have been when I can get a chance to travel. Like the last one I did. Sorry. The last one I did. It was that Amelia and Chuck baby announcement. So like I put a GoPro on my camera, did the thing there, and then
like a little BTS
of like the photo shoot, and then I superimposed the photos that I'm taking. While
I love those,
happening.
man. Those are so satisfying.
It's
to watch.
Super cool, yeah. And so then what I did is we were in the hotel heading to Idaho. I'm like, I need to finish this video. So I'm set up in the hotel. I hold my camera and I'm talking to it about the video. And then I put that together and there's a video. Right.
Okay.
So I'd like to do more of that. I'd like to continue to do more stuff with Bedford and PhotoCon to help give back to, you know, the beginners, the community. And I would really just like to grow my own brand a little more as time allows. But just, you know, I'm so deep in with F&A that I can only kind of the straggling time that I like the stragglers of time is that I can reach for and grab and try to capitalize on it, you know. But I've committed to do it this year more, and it's so far I've been doing more than ever before.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully that leads you to the metrics you're chasing, and you know that sense of accomplishment. Because like otherwise, what's it all for? Yeah.
Really, so, that's what it is. Yeah, you know, it's doing stuff like this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This is part of it. And this, you know, there are so many interesting people that I feel like I know of, but I don't know them. You and I have talked somewhat, but we've never really had like a discussion.
No, this is the longest I've actually talked to you.
Yeah, because I mean, we're both busy just trying to get our shit done, and you know, we'll reach out like, you know, hey, can I get feedback on this or whatever?
Yeah, because even when like you came over to the studio and did your headshot work there, like I didn't talk to you much. I was like, here you go, dude, have at it. You can use this if you want that. And
you're like printing labels or something, and I like had to get that shoot done, and then I had to take off and get it produced. So yeah, it's constantly grinding. But yeah, this is one of the things that I want to continue to do more of this year. And a big personal goal for me is to lock down an office space.
Okay.
I want like an actual office space. And the reason for that is I used to have a tech YouTube channel. And that was when I was kind of transitioning out of the military. I had a good amount of free time and I wasn't really sure what I was doing with myself then. So it was just something fun that I did.
Okay.
And I actually like built a little bit of a following on it, and I had kind of a community, and unfortunately I kind of had to sacrifice that to make my way through with media, you know, to really dive into this. I had to give that up. And back then I was building these high-end PCs, custom water cooling for esports competitors, for people who did, you know, high-end video production. Yeah. And I want to get back into that. I miss that. Like there's a part of me that's always like, shit, if I just had like a little bit more time or a little bit more of this or that, like I want to incorporate that back in. So
now, question real quick.
What's up?
Do you think now that, I'm not super into PC building, but do you think now that the computers you can buy are pretty damn good? Is it, and I know probably like building a PC now is probably more niche and like less people need like that super high-end PC than where like the regular gamer now can buy like a box PC and get 90% of the performance and everything else is diminished returns. Do you feel that technology's done that lately with PCs? Because I feel like I could buy a PC that is going to perform pretty damn good now. 5 years ago, no.
Right.
But now I can get a lot out of it.
So if you're just somebody who wants to, like the average end user, I feel like uses it for Facebook, email,
right,
whatever, like really basic stuff. I would say there's a lot of cost-effective options out there that you can get off the shelf. But I mean, it's almost like modifying a car. Like you can buy a gaming PC. The power supplies suck. The case fans suck. The cases usually aren't great either. There's performance left on the table. And sometimes you're paying for things you don't need. Like sometimes there's gaming builds out there that you get off the shelf that might have a crazy CPU when gaming is traditionally really GPU heavy. So you might be paying for extra stuff that you don't need.
Right. Because you don't know.
Yeah. Whereas, building a computer, you understand your components. So if there's a problem, you'll probably figure out how to fix it. And, it's better than just saying, oh, fuck, it doesn't work. Throw a $3,000 PC away. And with building it, you only pay for what you need.
Right.
So if I don't ever play games and I'm just focused on rendering, I don't need a $1,200 GPU in there. So I think, yes, there's plenty of off-the-shelf stuff that'll work just fine. The M1 laptops have been a huge hit.
Right.
Tons of people use those for work. But I think there's just a fun aspect of building your rig. You get to choose how the lighting is and, what you need to focus on as far as getting the performance you want at the price point you can afford out of a PC. Because you can build a $500 PC, you can build a $20,000 PC.
Okay.
It's just, it spans infinitely.
Right. Yeah, that's quite a range.
Yeah. So,
I was just wondering because, you've seen the M1s and the M2s come out.
Yeah.
And God, man, so many people now have just gone that way instead of trying. Because back in the day, if you wanted higher performance, you'd build
desktop for sure.
Right. Build a desktop. Right. Yeah. And then just now, I feel like technology's gotten to a certain point where I'm not in that world. So I was just asking genuinely, like, if that has gone down to a smaller niche.
Depends on how hard you want to push it, because like I'm not on the road like you are, so the M1 to me isn't super appealing because I have a desktop setup. But that being said, because I have a water-cooled system with the components that it has in it, my render time's probably half of what the M1 is. Right. Just because that's how I've built it.
Yeah.
So
well, I mean, like for me, I travel with an MSI, like a souped-up MSI laptop.
Okay, MSI is great. I love MSI products.
And but I got rid of my desktop because now at home I just get my laptop out of my bag, hook it up HDMI. I got my big monitor, and now I work off of that. I got to go. Everything's still there.
Yeah.
I just pack that thing up and work out of the hotel rooms. Right. So I've condensed my computer to just a badass laptop.
Yeah. I think obviously investing in what makes sense for your lifestyle and your use case will always make the most sense. But for me, it's almost like another avenue of art, because I have to hand bend these water cooling tubes and I design it how I want it to look. And it's something that I can put myself into, and it's something that I think is fun. And then based on how you've put it together, there's all kinds of benchmarks you can run to see how it performs. And it's, it's a fun thing to be into.
The desktop I work out of at the F&A shop is a like a built computer. Someone built it for Asian. That's what I work out of there. And dude, that thing's a beast. Like we've bought new Dells that are good Dells, right? $1,200 for the tower. This thing still outperforms, even though it's like 4 or 5 years old.
Yeah. I mean, that's how mine is. Mine's 4 years old now. If anybody's watching in the tech, I have an overclocked 9900K and a 2080 Ti, and that still is more than effective for what I need. And it's 4 years old.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But
I might hit you up on computer questions.
Sure.
Just because I've never been super into the gear part of stuff. I like the creative part of it.
Yeah.
The process of creating more than this mirrorless has specs compared to this. Like that stuff's kind of like almost meaningless to me because
for cameras I'm kind of like that. I'm mostly like send me a raw. Let me see what the raw looks like. The specs matter to a point, but it's easy to get lost in it, and most of it is kind of meaningless.
It is, and I find that with everything. You know, like when I did competitive shooting, people are, oh, like I did this with my gun, did that. I'm like, dude, I'll get a stock Glock and go whoop ass with it, and this guy with a $3,000 race gun is going to perform at the end just as well as I did.
Yeah.
You know, it's the process of doing the things that I'm super into, you know, but it's, like that's why my gear's so minimal. Like it's literally those two bodies and that's it, you know, just cause being in a high paced, what am I trying to say here? Like
a fast paced environment, simplicity is invaluable.
It's very, very much so, you know, and also like the end of it, like, dude, like, if the goal is to keep a Facebook, like we got 3.7 million on the Farm Truck and Asian Facebook page, right?
God bless.
Dude, people don't give a shit what camera you're shooting out of.
Does it look good or does it not?
Doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You could post a shitty phone picture and that goes viral.
Really? Well, I guess, the content is
king. Context in content is king.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay. So example, like look back the last 2 weeks, the last month on my 405 photo page, I was in the passenger seat of this van that we're rolling to Idaho in. And then, there's this guy named Kai Kelly. He's one of the racers of the Invitational No Prep Kings, right? He's from NOLA. His stacker is driving down the road. I don't have my gear. My stuff's in the backpack back here, right? So I grab my phone and I take a picture of his trailer and then my 405 hat, right? I post it. Most of the time, my 405 photo page gets anywhere from 300 to 3,000 likes per photo, right? That's an average.
Damn.
This one photo is 12,000, 13,000 likes right now.
Dang.
People don't care what gear you use. So that's what I've learned by doing this job where, it's cool to talk about the gear and cool to have high megapixel stuff. And I bought $3,500 camera body, $3,500 lens.
Right.
And then none of that matters to the people because my $1,000 phone took the shot that got more reach than the last 2 months of photos I took with that.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of it is very situational. And that's something that I struggle with. I will like almost refuse to use my phone for anything because my brand and kind of what I stand for, I put production value almost above everything. Like we're recording a conversation. I have an $800 Rodecaster Pro. I have an A7S III, an A1. I'm shooting 4K 24 in S-Log 3. Like this is all so absolutely just stupid, honestly.
It's a lot. Yeah.
You know, all these expensive lights and stuff. And it's just because like I personally like the production value side of it is what I like. I like to see how cinematic or how nice I can get something to look. And for you, it's like it's almost the opposite. Like you have to achieve it as best you can by any means possible.
Yes. Yeah. So by doing this job, it's taught me that, right? I think that's why I've not gotten super into camera specs and gear, even though clearly I am to some degree.
To some degree, yeah.
But I know that the end user, because that's been my job from the beginning, is learning. Since I manage these pages that are hundreds of thousands and millions of followers, you get a feel of what people are going to respond to.
Yeah. And
people respond better to a organic feeling, real feeling photo from a phone than a R5 45 megapixel f1.2 creamy background photo.
Yeah.
Right. They just do. They respond better to it. Yeah. When you're trying to just tell a story, document people's lives, right? Because that's the goal with the Facebook pages, right? To keep people up to date with what they're doing. So everything has its place, but at the end of the day, if you're trying to communicate with people, the gear doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
It does not.
I agree.
You know,
it's just a means of doing that.
It's the means. Yeah. I learned that also from watching Casey Neistat. So I'm a big Casey Neistat fan. I learned how to edit by watching his vlogs when he vlogged for over a year and a half straight or whatever, right? And he's like, the best camera to film with is the one that you have.
Yep.
Right. So I've taken that into consideration and I always have a camera on me, which is my phone. Right. So if I have a better camera, then I'll use that one. Right. But if I only have my phone, then I'll use that. So yeah, the end is if you're trying to communicate with people, they don't care about gear. You care about gear. Right. We care about gear. That's it. Now.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming out today and taking time to, do this podcast with me. I know you're busy. Lighting the schedule was super tricky, but fortunately I was able to catch you on some downtime coming back from the trip. Yeah,
we're back from Idaho. We're taking a weekend off, and then we're driving to Colorado next weekend.
Okay.
So, and then that starts 8 weeks in a row of being on the road. Oh my God. So we'll be gone. I don't even know all the cities.
This is all just following No Prep Kings.
Yeah, finishing out the locals only at No Prep Kings. Yeah. So Colorado, Vegas, back to Ohio, North Carolina, Texas, like we're going all over the place.
That is absolutely insane.
Yeah, that's going to be the longest.
So much out of you to do that.
Man, the first stint we did was 5 weeks in a row. Mm-hmm. That was killer. But now this is going to be the longest I've been away from home. Pretty much 2 months.
So is it 8 weeks consecutively that you will not be in Oklahoma?
Well, yes. Like we have yes and no. So like for a couple of events, we're going to come back and dip here, load our trailer with merch, and then...
Okay, so you got to re-up on my merch. You might be back for like a day or two.
Yeah, a day. And then we got to roll. Yeah. And the only time I'm coming home for a couple of days is I'm coming home in September. So I promised my kids I'd do something with them that's important. So I'm going to fly back around the 26th, hang out with them for 2 or 3 days, and then fly to the next event. Man. So, but besides that, it's gonna be hotels and Waffle House. Yeah.
God dang. Is there, if there's anything you want to share to the maybe 50 viewers that we're gonna, your Facebook page or anything that you want to plug?
Oh, for sure. I'm pretty active on everything. All the handles are pretty much Lou405 Photo across Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. You guys want to go to the YouTube channel? That's Lou Renova, and that's where I'm trying to kind of do my own things and have my own voice a little more in the community. But yeah, that, and then if you guys, of course, like Farm Chicken Asian, they already got enough followers, but we always need more.
Never have too many.
No. Yep. So it'd be cool to get some subscribers over to that channel. That's just Farm Chicken Asian on YouTube.
And that channel is really cool because it's not just it's a lot of antics, like a lot of weird stuff that you guys do, like the air scream thing was wild, dude. I was laughing my ass off for that. So that channel, I vouch for everything that Lou's saying. It's good content. It's super entertaining, good production value. You got the R5 here, and the other camera that you shoot with R6. Yep. So it's all good stuff. And, thanks for coming out, man.
No, really thank you for having me. It means a lot that you thought enough of me to have me on here.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, hopefully I can make it onto your YouTube channel one day.
Hell yeah, dude. We should. I've had this idea to go out and shoot with you whenever I get time. And I think it'd be really fun.
For sure.
We should do something.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I appreciate it.
Cool. Hell yeah, man. Thank you.